In this video, you will find out what Buddhism is, who or what a Buddha is, which central teaching Buddhism has, and how you can benefit from Buddha's teaching even as a non-Buddhist. Buddhism is a religion, but it differs significantly from the so-called faith religions, such as Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Buddhists do not believe in a supernatural power or a god. Buddha's teaching is rather a religion of experience. Buddha himself did not practice Buddhism. He only taught his insights, the Dharma, the truth of existence. Over the centuries, various Buddhist schools and traditions have developed. The goal is to develop one's own mind and overcome suffering and thus attain awakening or enlightenment, which means a state of lasting, unconditional happiness. According to Buddhist teachings, samsara is the cycle of existences, death and rebirth in which all unenlightened people or living beings find themselves. The reason for this is called karma, the principle of cause and effect. Our karma has a significant influence on the samsara cycle. Intentionally good and also bad actions or ways of thinking determine the karma, which in turn leads to a possible rebirth, staying in the samsara cycle, or to enlightenment, passing over into Nirvana. The latter can only occur when the mind is cleansed of all karmic actions and thoughts, and thus no new karma is created. This state is difficult to explain and can only be fully understood if one actually experiences it. The way there leads through self-reliance and personal responsibility of the individual. Buddhist teachers advise their students to look skeptically at the teachings they receive, even if they come directly from Buddha himself. They should neither passively accept nor automatically reject what they hear and read, but instead use their judgment. They should examine for themselves whether the teachings are consistent with their own experiences and the experiences of others. In a famous statement, Buddha explained, "Now, Kalamas, don't go by reports, by legends, by traditions, by scripture, by logical conjecture, by inference, by analogies, by agreement through pondering views, by probability, or by the thought, this contemplative is our teacher. When you know for yourselves that these qualities are skillful, these qualities are blameless, these qualities are praised by the wise, these qualities, when adopted and carried out, lead to welfare and to happiness, then you should enter and remain in them. You do not have to join a Buddhist organization or become a Buddhist to benefit from Buddha's teachings." Who was or is Buddha? There are many ways to describe who the Buddha is. These different perspectives have their sources in the Buddha's teachings. One is the historical Buddha, a person who lived about 2500 years ago and cleared his mind of all defilements and developed his full potential. Any being who also does this is also considered a Buddha. So there are many Buddhas, not just one. The historical Buddha. The historical Buddha Shakyamuni was born as Prince Siddhartha Gautama in an area near the present-day border between India and Nepal. He had everything life could offer: material possessions, a loving family, fame, prestige, and power. His father wanted him to become a great political leader and protected him from any contact with unpleasant situations. However, the young Siddhartha was searching for the real meaning of life, and therefore sneaked out of the palace, and on his wanderings in the city he first saw a sick person, then an old one, and finally a corpse. So sickness, aging, and death. He was disillusioned with things that brought temporary, worldly happiness, but did not solve the basic human predicament. On another trip to the city, he saw a wandering ascetic and learned that this person was seeking liberation from the cycle of existence to which he was bound by ignorance and karma. Siddhartha then left his princely life to become an ascetic seeking the truth. After 6 years of strict physical asceticism, he realized that extreme self-mortification was not the path to ultimate happiness. Now he was already living in magnificent wealth and in extreme asceticism, but both extremes did not lead to his desired result. So he decided to take a middle path. He abandoned his extremely ascetic practices and sat down under the Bodhi tree near present-day Bodh Gaya, India, in a deep meditation in which he completely cleared his mind of all misconceptions and impurities and unleashed his full potential. He then taught with compassion and wisdom for 45 years. In this way, he enabled others to gradually purify their minds, develop their potential, and achieve the same realizations and state of happiness that he had. Thus, the word Buddha means the awakened one who has completely purified and developed his mind. The Buddha showed a method to do this, a method that he himself used to go from the state of an ordinary confused being to the state of complete purification and growth, or what is called Buddhahood. It is up to each individual himself to practice this method and transform his own mind. Shakyamuni Buddha was someone who did what many aspire to do. He achieved the state of lasting happiness. His example and teachings show how everyone can do the same. What is the essence of Buddha's teachings? Buddhist teaching is very complex and multi-layered. For this reason, in this video, I will focus on the 4 noble truths that are central to Buddhism. We can speak of the essence of the Buddha's teachings as explained in the 4 noble truths. The truth of suffering, the truth about the cause of suffering, the truth about the cessation of suffering, and the truth about the path to cessation of suffering. The truth of suffering. When the Buddha spoke about suffering, he meant that we have unsatisfactory experiences in our lives. Suffering refers to status such as dissatisfaction, discomfort, stress, or oppression. Even the happiness we feel does not last forever, and this situation is unsatisfactory. By suffering, or the Sanskrit word dukkha, Buddha meant the following things that are unpleasant. First, getting what you don't like. Second, being separated from what you like. And third, not attaining what you desire. Buddha said, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. The truth about the cause of suffering. The cause of our problems is not external, such as in our surroundings or in other people, but in our own minds. The disturbing attitudes and emotions such as attachment, anger, hate, and ignorance are the real source of our discontent. As long as we are guided by our insatiable desires, we will be pulled from one unsatisfied life situation to the next and can never find true peace and satisfaction. If we want to find the true source of our problems, we must look within. Suffering is not a random event. Instead, our sufferings and discontent are directly related to the attitudes that arise within our own heart and mind. Here, we should understand the difference between attachment and desire. According to Buddha, the problem is not with our preferences and desires, but with our relationship to them. Do we tend to get angry or depressed when we don't get what we want? Or have we developed an inner flexibility and detachment to accept life as it unfolds? In the end, we have only limited control over our circumstances, so the more we cling to having circumstances conform to our ideas, the more we will inevitably suffer. The Buddha said, "The mind is the source of happiness and unhappiness." The truth about the cessation of suffering. The third noble truth is that there can be indeed an end to suffering. This is not a short exit from the cycle of suffering and dissatisfaction, but complete overcoming, because the causes of our problems lie within our own minds and are based on misconceptions about the nature of reality. They can be removed from our mind stream. The Buddha said, "Whatever is not yours, let go of it. Your letting go of it will be for your long-term happiness and benefit." The truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. There is a way to end such suffering through which we can also expand our good qualities. The Buddha described this path in the form of the Noble Eightfold Path. The path is often divided into three main categories called the three higher trainings. First, ethical discipline. Second, meditative stabilization. And third, wisdom. First, we must become a good person who functions well in society and lives harmoniously with others. Practicing ethical discipline enables us to do this. Now that our actions and speech are calmer, we can tame the mind by developing our concentration or meditative stabilization training. This leads us to cut the root of suffering, ignorance. Here, we develop the higher training in wisdom so that we can perceive reality as it really is. Ethical discipline includes, first, right speech. This refers to true, kind, and appropriate speech. Right speech avoids lying, denial, insulting, and unnecessary gossip. Second, right action. This refers to actions that do not harm others. With right action, one strives to help and protect others. Right action avoids killing, stealing, and sensual excesses. Third, right livelihood. Earning our livelihood, such as food, clothing, housing, etc., by non-harmful and honest means. Here, occupations that involve harming or deceiving other living beings should be avoided, such as arms dealing, trading with living beings, animal husbandry, or drug dealing. The meditative stabilization includes, fourth, right effort. This is about the effort to counteract the disturbing attitudes and negative emotions such as desire, hate, anger, rejection. Instead of being lazy and careless, one should be aware of the things that arise in the mind. Fifth, right mindfulness. This is about paying close attention to what is happening in the present moment and not getting lost in thoughts about the past or the future. This applies not only to meditation practice, but to all daily activities. 6. Right concentration. In order to develop deep insight into the nature of reality, the focus of the mind must be sharp and free from distraction and inertia. By practicing right concentration, it becomes possible to focus and maintain full attention on an object of choice. Focusing one's attention in this way enables one to gain insight into the true nature of things. As its core, this is the practice of meditation, which primarily uses concentration on a single object, most often the breath. Wisdom includes 7. Right insight. This is about insight into the Four Noble Truths and other central Buddhist learning. It is about self-knowledge that suffering and dissatisfaction permeate all of normal existence. To improve this situation, insightful wisdom must be developed to hold this correct view clearly in our consciousness. 8. Right intention. This is about giving up selfish attitudes that lead to further suffering and replacing them with the opposite. Instead of thoughts that harm oneself and others, one cultivates the intention to be benevolent toward all living beings. Right intention is the resolve to renounce, to do no harm, to abstain from resentment. These 8 points serve as Buddhist guide and recommendations for a happy life. First, we must have the determination to be free from the confusion of our sufferings and their causes. Then, when we see that other people also have problems, we will develop an altruistic intention to help them with love and compassion. To do this, we must develop the wisdom that understands the true nature of ourselves and other phenomena, and thus eliminate all false projections and views. Each of us wants to be happy and have a fulfilling life. The Buddha's teachings are still relevant today and show that they are timeless. The universal practices taught by Buddha 2,500 years ago are more important than ever in today's modern and fast-paced world. It is not necessary to convert to Buddhism to apply the Buddha's helpful practices and ways of thinking in today's life. Even if life doesn't always go according to plan, and even if it has its difficulties from time to time, we don't have to hang our heads or lose hope. With the Four Noble Truths, we have a unique guide for life to find true happiness. The Buddha said, "Drop by drop is the water pot filled. Likewise, the wise man, gathering it little by little, fills himself with good." Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, share the video with someone who can benefit from this content. Thank you and stay inspired.